Welcome back to Coach's Corner, and as promised, the head coach of the Ponca City Wildcat football team, Scott Harmon, is with us, and we're very happy. And first of all, opportunity to say congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And welcome to Ponca City. Um, Football, I mean, when you've been here a while, through the spring and through the summer, and getting these players, you've had an opportunity to really get to know your athletes, practice with them. Tell us about the spring and summer. How did that go? I mean, you come in here, and I got to tell you, first off, and this is a good thing, Coach Harmon has a reputation. Now, there's two different Coach Harmons. There's a Coach Harmon off the field and out of the coach's office and off the coach's field. And there's Coach Harmon on the practice field and on the football field. You take it very seriously, and you want these kids to develop and grow. Tell us about spring and summer.
The spring was kind of just kind of thrown together by the seat of our pants a little bit. I was just getting in. We had a couple of coaches that were going to stay on the staff that got better jobs or kind of moved up the ladder, so to speak. We lost Tag to an administrative spot, and we lost Coach Snelldine and Coach Bishop to Newkirk, and all those guys were kind of moved up. So it's a good thing that your coaches are wanted elsewhere for better jobs, but it did kind of put us behind the eight ball a little bit going into the spring. So we stayed very basic in the spring and just kind of introduced our stuff. We actually moved our spring scrimmage up a couple of dates so we could accommodate the graduation, and it was just kind of a quick little introduction and kind of a glimpse of what is to be in the two-a-days, but a lot of good stuff over the summer, and we really enjoyed the kids.
What do you say about that reputation that you have as a tough coach?
It's well deserved.
All right.
Yes, being my size and my stature, you always kind of had to play the game with a certain intensity. It wasn't like I was a really big guy for a football player. So what kind of set me apart from other kids that were very similar to me was my intensity on the field, and I carry that into coaching. I tell the kids all the time, I'm going to treat you like I do my own son, and which is kind of tough love. So they're learning how to deal with it.
But as you coach these kids, it's those that come back after years and years and say you made a profound impact. And had you not been tough, that maybe that impact wouldn't have happened.
That's right, and
Do you believe that?
Yeah, I learned that from my dad. I get people all the time, even in Ponca City. I'll have people come up to me on a weekly basis and say, "Hey, your dad saved me in this situation,
Wow.
or your dad kept me in school, and football was the main reason why." So I really look up to that, and I know a lot of coaches kind of use that to simulate what they're going to do when in the working profession. Be there on time, be there all the time. Good attitude, whole 9 yards. So it's one of those things we preach pretty hard, and the kids are starting to grasp it.
Yeah, these facilities. My goodness gracious. You can go to pohisports.com, and Jordan Woodruff, the voice of the Wildcats, sits down with Coach Harmon in another interview over there. But also, you'll find a video at pohisports.com where Coach Harmon and Jordan Woodruff take you on a tour of these impressive football facilities. And wow, all the improvements, Coach Harmon. It just looks amazing. There are some small colleges that would be envious of what we have here in Ponca City. Isn't that amazing?
There's no doubt, and that's one of the big attractions for me personally to come take this job. Other than the fact that we had some ties. Dad was here previously, but I can remember back in the mid '80s and what it was then and what it is now, and there's just a huge improvement. And I think the kids see that. I think the staff sees that, and the work ethic and the commitment to athletics from everybody from the superintendent down to kind of our janitor who is working hard at our new facility is really all on board trying to keep these things nice.
Yeah, voters, you voters, thank you, because when you see all of those improvements, it was all of those yes votes on those bond issues that make all of that possible. And it is beautiful, and it is great, and we're ready for a fantastic football season 2018. Ponca City Wildcats and Coach Harmon, let's get right into it. Enid's coming to town. Now, Enid, they've already played a game. They were played in what's known as week zero week. That really gives you an advantage, but it gives them an advantage too. Can you explain that to us?
Yes, 0 week was originally brought in to kind of help with some scheduling for everybody to kind of keep some rivalries alive, give them an extra week of non-district games. And they played Guthrie last week, and we made that trip Friday because it was our first two games, Enid and then Guthrie week 2. So you could tell it was the first game, a lot of heat, cramps, a lot of turnovers, a lot of bitty things that normally happen in the first game. So they've kind of had a really good dress rehearsal as opposed to ours. We're kind of it's just a half and not a true game, but we tried to simulate as much as possible in the scrimmage against Bristow. So we got an idea of what they're trying to get done, and we'll try to take advantage of some of the things we saw.
Yeah, absolutely. Now they have an advantage in that they've already had a game.
Right.
Right. And the Wildcats, of course, when the Enid Plainsman big rivalry game, when they come to town, it'll be game number 1, home opener, season opener, and with a big rivalry. I mean, do you prefer it that way? Get that big rivalry out of that first game? I mean, my goodness.
I'm accustomed to it. I told the kids yesterday that I've played in a lot of big rivalry games. Of course, I'm from Hominy. Hominy Cleveland is about a 95-year-old rivalry, one of the biggest in Oklahoma, and it's always the first Thursday of the season. So I say that before the 0 week. They actually play this Thursday, and then naturally it was part of Bedlam in college, and that's a big one too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we try to preach to them a little bit about we want to be enthusiastic and be spirited, but we still want to use our intelligence and kind of harness that aggression a little bit so we're not just completely worn out by halftime.
Having that experience and having played at OSU and having been a part of Bedlam and all of that, and countless high school rivalry games, how do you as a coach prepare them mentally to calm down? I mean, you've got the pep rallies, you've got all the excitement. Yeah, everybody is going nuts. How do you get them in the locker room and say, okay, bring it down?
Oh, and especially with 16 to 18-year-old kids, and I ask them, I want them to get hyped up and play with aggression, but we called it controlled aggression. You know what I mean? And we tried to kind of funnel some of that aggression into some thinking as opposed to reacting and being able to settle down a little bit out there and do what we're accustomed to doing when there's not just a gigantic rivalry, gigantic crowd. So it's more kind of muscle memory. We've done it so many times that we're accustomed to it. But now when you throw the band, the high steppers, the cheerleaders, the fans in, it's hard to kind of corral that enthusiasm, but we'll try to.
Yeah, well, at halftime of this game coming up Friday at Sullen Stadium, the Mini Flag Clinic will be performing at halftime, and that's exciting. Let's talk now with Coach Harmon about the matchup with Enid. You did get a chance to watch Enid play. You've watched Guthrie and Enid in that game, which is, like you said, the first 2 games of the season, Enid then Guthrie. How do you see Enid coming into town Friday night? How do you see that matchup with the Wildcats?
Well, they've got a new quarterback. Their quarterback moved out of state last year. That was returning starter, so he's got a game under his belt. They probably have one of the better backs in 6A Division II. He was coming off of a leg injury last year, and he looked like he was pretty much 100% back full healthy. So we'll have our hands full kind of trying to stop him, and that's who we'll kind of focus on defensively. Offensively, we just kind of do what they didn't do first game, is prevent turnovers. They had 5 turnovers the first game versus Guthrie, and it led to 35 points. So it was a little closer than what the score indicated, but that's one of the things that we kind of focus on and stress is, hey, we're not going to turn the ball over. We're going to control the clock a little bit, eat up some time, and then use our kicking game to our advantage and try to not to just give them great field position with turnovers.
How much time and practice is devoted to turnovers and preventing turnovers? And
You'd be surprised. We work on it a great deal.
Yeah.
I know Coach Rollo and I talked about it. We had a talk about having a pretty regular tackle circuit and just working on fundamentals. And when we do that, we work on trying to strip the ball and then.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, not only are you wanting them to hold on to the ball,
yes,
but on the other side, you want to coach them on how to create turnovers.
That's right, and I'm a defensive guy, so we do that. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Coach Norquist will always stress ball security with whoever is kind of carrying the ball because he's our running back coach. So we stress it a lot, and it's going to come. that'll be a big part of these first couple of games is being able to secure the ball, not turn it over, and give the other team short fields to play with.
Yeah, we're excited about speaking with Coach Harmon all throughout the season as we get into an Enid Sullen Stadium Friday night, big rivalry game. We want a big crowd. We want everyone to fill the stands and back the Cats. How important is that for your athletes? You know, they've worked so hard. The spring, the summer. Here it is, game one. They look up in the stands and they see a packed house. That's got to make a difference.
It's going to be a big deal. We've got our band sitting in the home stands this year, a little bit different. They've been in the end zone, and now they're going to be in the stands right behind the high steppers. So it's going to be a big event. It's a rivalry game, and we're looking forward to it. We just want to make sure we're prepared mentally and physically by Thursday, and I think we will be. Our staff's been doing a good job, and I know our kids are ready to play.
Yeah, ready for the season, absolutely, and we're excited about it too. Now, remember, your radio home for Ponca City Wildcat football is 100.7 FM KPNC, the voice of the Wildcats. Jordan Woodruff will have the play-by-play call, and PohiSports.com will feature live video streaming of Ponca City Wildcat football all season long, paired with the audio broadcast. We're excited about it. And Coach Harmon, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
We look forward to more visits with Coach Harmon throughout the school year and throughout the football season, right here on Coach's Corner. Our thanks to Coach Larry DeGan and Coach Harmon. That's going to do it for this edition of Coach's Corner. Thanks for watching. Until next time.